He died.
Really cool.
Yeah, that's died. Research the paradise. Yeah, really good shape.
We didn't do like the blue hole.
We're live, okay. We're gonna go ahead and get started, everyone. It's about 6:01. I was giving Rick Hardy another minute. I thought he was gonna join us, but it looks like he's,
Oh, I'm here.
I mean, sorry. You know,
The other.
Yeah, the other one.
the other Rick. Sorry, my bad. Anyway, so if we can go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so if we can go around with the roll call, let everyone introduce themselves.
David Shuey.
Rick Hardy
David Vogt.
Julie Johnson, Chair.
and Fred Townsend, Town Solicitor.
Okay, we have the agenda. We had a amendment that basically we're looking at more or less the same non-conforming setback that both these properties are looking for. But we need to adopt the agenda. Can I get a motion?
A motion to adopt.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and go forward with this agenda. And gonna go ahead and open the public hearing. If we have, who is representing Mr. Mills? Is Mr. Mills here?
Right here.
Are you going to present for us?
I don't have a whole lot of presentation other than say what you
Oh, you
have.
have to come to the podium.
I didn't prepare any
That's
speech
okay.
or anything, but, yes,
You have to
basically.
get sworn in by Mr.
Oh,
Townsend.
sorry.
That's okay.
So, would you identify yourself again, please?
Yeah, Robert Mills,
And your address?
current address, 12 Wellington Place, Rehoboth Beach.
Okay, and Mr. Mills, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, so before you start your presentation, I'll use this as an opportunity to remind the board and to advise you as a presenter what the criteria are for the granting of a variance that might impact the way you present.
Okay.
May not, we'll see. So there are four major considerations that this board is to consider given the Delaware Supreme Court case known as Quick Check Realty versus Newcastle County. The first is to consider the nature of the zone where the property lies. Second, the character and uses in the immediate vicinity. Third, whether removal of the restriction on the applicant's property would seriously affect neighboring properties. And fourth, whether removal of the restriction would create exceptional practical difficulty for the owner, whether failure to remove the restriction would create exceptional practical difficulty for the owner in relation to the owner's efforts to make normal improvements on the property. The code in Dewey Beach further authorizes this board to grant in specific cases variances from zoning ordinances that will not be contrary to the public interest where owing to special conditions or exceptional situations, a literal interpretation of a zoning ordinance will result in exceptional practical difficulties for the owner. Again, in relation to the owner's efforts to make normal improvements to his or her property, substantial justice is to be done, and substantial detriment to the public good is to be avoided, and an impairment of the intent and purpose of the zoning ordinance is to be avoided. So, any questions about that?
No, and I guess I probably should go ahead and read what the variance is, the official. It's a public hearing regarding a request for a variance from chapter 185-60, subset B of the code of the town of Dewey Beach to add a half story up to a non-conforming townhome with party walls extending into the 8-foot side yard setback. Property is in the neighborhood residential zoning district located at 4 C Strand Court, Unit 19, formerly known as map 334, parcel, all those numbers. This request has been submitted by Robert Mills, co-owner of the property. So with that being said, Mr. Mills, take it away.
Okay, basically what we're trying to do is to bring the property up to today's standards. Property hasn't been remodeled since it was built. Everything's original, pretty much in the whole unit, kitchen, baths. Most of the rooms, the townhouse is very small. Majority of the building has already, it looks like, has received variances throughout the years. To 3 of the other units in the building have put a third story on or an additional bedroom. And 6 out of the 8 units have already bumped out, not past the building, but bumped out where there might have been a screened porch, but they already have done that. So we're just pretty much trying to get it up to today's standards. It hasn't been remodeled since the 60s, or when it was built.
Right.
So it's all original. So we're trying to make the rooms a little bigger, because some of the original rooms right now are very small. Just bump it out a little bit, add a little additional living space, and that's pretty much what we're trying to do. Just get it up to today's, where we're, what people would enjoy today.
So you said there are 6 of 8 buildings. Is that in your building?
Correct.
Okay. How many units are in like C-Strand in that complex?
Well, the other 6, there's 2 buildings facing the ocean. We have 8, the other unit that has 6 units. Out of the other building, 4 of the 8 bumped out already. The back building, all 6 have already put the 3rd floor in.
Okay.
So they have already done that. And the other building that faces Silver Lake, that was built in the 80s because it burnt down.
So is your design going to be similar to what?
Oh, it's going to be pretty much same fascia, or very familiar or similar to everybody else in the front. So it's going to look pretty much the same as everybody else. The back, where we're going to put the additional bedroom and a small deck, will look pretty much exactly like 2 or 3 units down, almost exactly the same.
Okay.
So,
And I know since the other property is the same, I don't know if you have anything else to say, or if I can.
no, well, Doug did the plans for me, so, it's pretty much, I feel, it's what I could see from the agenda, very similar.
Right.
What they're trying to accomplish as well.
And we'll potentially vote on these separately, but we might as well hear from everybody since we're talking about essentially the same thing, so.
All right.
The other property,
Well,
oh wait, I'm sorry.
yeah, I'd like to ask some
Oh,
questions.
sure.
Yeah. So, about those standards, I guess the nature of this area is residential, right? There's no commercial in the area.
Correct.
Your neighbors, have you heard from anyone? I mean, your property's been posted, right, for?
No, I called number 20, unit number 20, left her a message saying, we're going to.
You're 19.
Correct.
All right, go ahead.
And I left a message for number 20, who already have done all renovations. She already has a 3rd floor on her unit, and she totally remodeled her unit. I just introduced myself, said, we're going to start doing a little bit of work. We already received a permit to do some just minor demolition. She called me back to say, welcome to the community. Thanks for the call. Appreciate you giving me the heads up. So other than that, I have not.
Haven't heard from anyone else.
Nope. Other than Greg, who's a leader of the association, said, welcome aboard, but no negative feedback whatsoever.
Okay, so you'll be
We're
invited,
gonna-
you'll be
yeah.
invited to
That's
speak.
okay.
No, that's fine, that's fine.
Just,
Oh, are you
we don't
Greg?
want you to think we're ignoring you, we'll open it up
Yeah.
to the community.
Catholic race, why not?
That's okay.
Okay, so in your view, will what you propose to do potentially harm any of your neighbors or anyone?
No, not whatsoever. It's going to be pretty much conforming to what the majority of the community has already done.
All right, so are you an end unit? Is that right?
The second from the end.
Second from the end. So a portion of your unit is still within a setback, I take it. Is that your understanding?
I don't, the setback, which I thought the issue was, we're not going past any of the footprint of the building as what's constructed now. We're not going anything past what the footprint is, existing footprint of the building.
Can I ask a question of Dawn at this point?
Dawn,
Can you hear me, Dawn?
you're on mute,
You're on
Dawn.
mute.
Yes, I can hear you. I'm sorry.
That's okay, go ahead. I think Fred has a question for you.
Did you hear, well, a portion of this unit is within a side yard setback, is that correct?
Yes, each of those units in the building itself is considered a townhouse building. However, each unit in and of itself is a totally separate parcel. And so therefore, this zoning district only allows single-family detached homes to be built.
Okay.
That makes this particular townhouse building units as non-conforming. The setbacks are 8 feet on either side per parcel, but each of the units are basically 16 feet wide.
Right. Okay. So
we've run into this
so
before,
we've run into this before, but we've also run into something similar but different, and that's where we've got condo units that some of which are within the building envelope, but some of the end units tend not to be in the building envelope, and those are the ones that need variances. But in this case, to extend the roof on any of the units would constitute a nonconformity, because neither side of the unit can expand within the setback. Right, okay.
Correct.
All right, so will the elevation of what you're proposing to do be higher than your neighbor?
No.
It'll be the same height or lower?
Same height, we're not changing the roof line. It'll match the existing building.
Okay, and you said your unit is small, so this question goes to your difficulties. Like, how would you describe it? Do you know the square footage, or tell us about the unit?
As I said, it was built in the 60s. The kitchen's, I think it's 107 inches long right now, the countertop. So that's not a whole, it's pretty small. You walk in, powder room, utility room, and there's maybe a 9-foot wide area before you hit the kitchen, which is extremely small, and then one small living area in the back. And then the bedrooms are, the front two facing west, extremely small.
Those are that's the current configuration?
Current configurations. And
so how many
what
bedrooms?
most people have done, it's either some people put accordion wall between the two to make it they made 1 bedroom or 2, but they're extremely, extremely small in today's living.
Like,
Oh gosh, so one might be, 7 by 10 maybe, or 9.
okay.
I mean, in today's standards, a 10 by 11, you'd want to at least get that if you could.
So the existing configuration has 2 bedrooms, or is there a third bedroom?
Well, there's the back facing east, that's, you would say, the main.
Uh-huh.
And then up front, some haven't had it, you can do it 2 or 1. Many people have made an accordion or made a wall in there to separate it.
To bring the total to
2, 3.
to 3. So it's really
It's right now.
But it was technically built as a 2-bedroom.
2 bedrooms.
Right, I would imagine back when it was originally built. But there's a wall between the two that right now.
So what do you have right now in terms of the number of bedrooms. Do you have an accordion wall or do you have a permanent?
No, it was there and they took it out. I didn't take it out, but someone, you could see the track and what it was there,
Okay, so you have 2 bedrooms and you'd like to expand to 3?
to 4. Basically put a wall, I mean, almost everybody has a wall between the 2.
Well, I'm asking you about your situation. I want to know, I want you to put on the record what your difficulty is. And you're saying your unit is small, and I'm trying to find out how many bedrooms are in your unit. And I'm sorry I'm being dense.
No, well,
So
I don't know how you could say it's, I would say, someone came in there right now, I would say it's a 3-bedroom unit. As it's laid out currently. And we're just trying to add additional bedroom up top with an additional bath.
So you have 3 bedrooms,
Correct,
and you'd like to add a 4th.
correct.
And 2 of the original bedrooms are
They're extremely small.
extremely small.
Correct. And that's,
Too small for,
well, you barely could put a single bed in there. I mean, it's just that, the whole purpose, and again, as you can see through all the other units that have done it, there was a screen porch in the back, or east, and on the west side, there's a little bit of an indentation. So they bumped it out, not past any building, what's the existing footprint. They just enclosed that area. That gained an extra 5 feet maybe.
okay.
It's,
Tell us about the square footage you want to add.
but maybe we should, if you're not sure, and you did the plans.
yeah,
Maybe we can have you answer some of these square footage questions that,
yeah, I mean, I didn't write it. Upstairs, I'd have to look here, hold on.
if you can come up to the podium.
Yeah, hold on.
420 square feet. New condition TV.
Mr. Warner, do you want to try and
But the
answer the
exception
question?
is
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so name and address for the record.
Douglas Warner from Element Design Group, 115 West Market Street, Lewis, Delaware.
Mr. Warner, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. In the third level that we're looking where the variance is affecting is basically just primarily the third level. The other first and second levels are all within the confines of the existing shell, so the variance doesn't really even affect that whatsoever. The third level, we're requesting a variance because we have, if we do the 8-foot and the 8-foot setbacks, that leaves us with 0 room to grow.
Right.
So what we're doing is taking the existing attic space, popping a dormer up in the back to get the headroom, and we are adding 420 square feet of conditioned space up there for additional bedroom, bathroom, and then a deck to capture the obvious opportunity of seeing the ocean.
Very good. And you're observing the height restriction, I take it? because
Yes,
that-
we're not going any higher than the existing roof line, and the dormer starts just slightly below that or at that peak and comes down to a plate height that's lower than that peak.
Thank you for clearing that up. Appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Just for, for the record, here's a picture of,
That's okay.
I just have one copy, but
Yeah.
this is unit 20 on the end. This is Bob's unit, and as you progress down, this particular unit here is 16, I believe. That is almost identical to what we're proposing for actually both of the applications.
So you're working on both projects?
That's correct.
And have you worked on any other projects within
Yeah,
this?
we did the structural engineering and assisted the architect for building D, which is the one that's set back from the ocean. They added, they were 2 stories. They actually added the complete gable roof and the dormers and everything on all 6 units in that, on that particular building. There's another building down, just a little further on Building A that has dormers front and back. And then we're currently working, do some engineering on the A building, where the two end units are going to try to request almost identical, same configuration.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you have any other questions for Mr. Mills? Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Mills?
I'm just gonna ask about the height,
Yeah,
but they already
they already
answered
answered
that.
that, so. With regard to unit 15, you all can, oh, wait.
We want to ask for public comment.
Oh, I didn't know if we just do a public comment at the end since it's for the same.
Do you have a photo that would show the west side? I mean, would this roof line, where this pop-up is here, would this be?
There are no,
That's the east side. That's
I know, so did you have a
no,
photo?
we're not putting any dormers. The
So This
existing,
would not be visible from the west side at all?
no, sir.
No.
No, and there is no change to
There's no
the
change
drive
to-
side.
Right. So west, there's no dormer, no anything like that.
Since it affects the same building, I was just gonna do public.
Okay,
comment for
that's fine,
both.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
If you need those back.
Oh, you could have
Thank
them,
you,
that's-
thank you. Okay, is anyone here for unit 15? One of you wants to come up, or both of you want to?
I can.
Oh, okay, go ahead. You're already sworn.
Okay, you can sit down,
You
right.
can, yeah, have a seat,
But
Mr.
stay
Mills.
with us.
Yeah.
if you
No,
would.
no, thank you.
Don't leave yet.
Yes, for Unit 15, again, Doug Warner representing Anna Paggi and Amanda Neal for a very similar request. Our application is trying to create, in that third floor space, some office space and a powder room, a little different than a bedroom, really in the era of working from home, and ever since COVID hit and so forth, just trying to create, I would say this would be the hardship, is trying to create a place to get away for an office space up in that existing attic area. Again, with the the lot lines are 0, 0, requesting the variance to utilize that space. Dormer pops out the backside, very similar to 19, and we're not exceeding the roof peak at all on this one as well.
So basically, the inside configuration is going to be different for unit 15.
That's correct.
But the outside configuration is going to be
That's
identical.
correct.
Okay,
That's correct.
just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
And is the square footage different,
I can give you that square
unit
footage.
15?
Right now, it's 420 square foot for this one as well.
Okay. Which makes sense. Any questions?
I mean, would you like me to review those four things or
So
anything?
about those considerations, though, at least the one regarding impacts on the neighbors and then the last one involving exceptional practice difficulty the owner's experiencing, I think we need to hear from the applicant as opposed to the architect. But if are you prepared to address those issues for the applicant, or you can try and do that?
Yeah, I can. I mean, the quick check items or the five
Yes,
items that are
quick check.
part
Yeah,
of
quick
the,
check.
okay. I mean, quick check number one, I think as you indicated, it's in the, the nature of the zone is which the property lines, NR zoning. Again, it's an oddball that it's a townhouse in an NR zoning, so I don't think there's anything odd case there. The character of the immediate vicinity, I think we've illustrated through some of the photos and the other buildings and what's happening here remains quite in character with the rest of the building. If the restriction on the applicant were removed, would seriously affect the neighboring properties and uses. In practicality, I think would actually increase, the property values and so forth. So I don't think it would have any sort of adverse effect on the adjacent townhouses whatsoever. And lastly, the restriction, would it create for the owner in relation to his efforts to make normal improvements? Absolutely. I mean, this hardship, we would make no improvement. And I think it's a very practical request to have a home office in this day and age. And without getting a relief from the setbacks, there's no room to grow whatsoever. So the hardship is kind of imposed just by having this structure. Maybe it was a rezoning. I'm not exactly sure what happened over the day, but it's got a structure that doesn't really fit into the category of the NR.
So the earlier applicant talked about how small his unit is. I mean, is unit 15 or 15 C Strand Court the same in dimension?
What, on the width?
Yeah,
Yeah, the overall,
square footage,
They're all-
yeah,
I mean, it's identical.
correct.
Yeah, okay.
And there was a request, I'm just double checking the size of that front bedroom, or bedrooms, if you want to call it. If they are partitioned off to give you two in the front, those rooms are 7 by 811. And that's one even, barely even has a closet in there. So it barely would really be, it would be way undersized for a typical bedroom.
Any questions for Mr. Warner?
No.
So we're gonna go ahead and thank you, Mr. Warner.
You're welcome.
We're gonna open it up for public comment. I know you raised your hand before. Do you want to have anything you want? You need to come to the podium and
You
get
do need-
sworn,
Yeah.
unfortunately. I know. It's part of the rules, sorry.
Do I have to swear under oath?
Yes, you do.
Oh, man.
You can affirm if you don't wish to
No,
swear.
I'm good. I just want to make a quick comment, that's all.
So name and address for the record.
Gary Busaka, 115 Christina Landing Drive, apartment 308, Wilmington, Delaware, 19801.
Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. I don't know either of the two presenters that presented today. However, we're neighbors. I am in the process of closing on a unit in the same row. So I was just here as, friend of the court, saying that I understand their issues. I also rented for a number of years to C-Strand, the units that recently put on the third floor. So I'm just here saying everything they talked about is absolutely an issue. I got involved in some of the discussions on C-Strand putting on the third floor because I rented there. And it was the same discussion. All these units are, they're built in the 60s. They're limited in space. Those units never anticipated the demands of a current family in the 21st century. I mean, that's basically the story. I understand the issues with setbacks, et cetera, but if you're going to pay the money these things are trading at and want to bring them up to normal standards, I understand the request for relief.
Very
Thank
good.
you. Thank you. Anyone else have anything to say?
By the way,
Oh.
the unit you're closing on,
Yes.
is it in its original state?
That's,
Pretty close.
I would tell you that when you ask that question,
Because there are people listening, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
yeah, my building's a little different. The previous owner apparently developed an attachment to everything in it, so he took it with him. So my place has been ransacked. He took the he took the HVAC compressor. He took everything.
I think we heard about this.
Yeah, that's yeah. So yeah, I'm in the same place.
So you have a head start. But in terms of,
Yeah, he's the
in terms
same.
of the square footage,
They're all identically the same.
so, and yours, the one you're purchasing, does not have a third floor?
It does not. It's
Okay.
an N unit. It does not have the third floor.
And does the unit adjoining it have a third floor?
Is it dormers? I can't, honestly, I don't know if it has, it doesn't have it does? So that's 11, right? That's,
No, it has an attic, he's asking about number 10.
oh, honest to God, I don't remember if it's
Okay, all
got
right.
a dormer or not.
Okay.
Sorry.
When you,
It's further over, yeah, so it does not. The one next to us is not.
when do you close?
When do I close? 2-3 weeks.
April 18th.
April 18th, yes. You can tell who the more interested party is in that transaction.
And will we see you in a couple months requesting?
requesting a variance.
I said this meeting to me is like putting behind Nicholas and the Masters. So, first look here. So,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Does anyone else have any comments that's here? Do we have anybody online that wants to? Nobody. So we're good. Okay.
Who?
Dwayne, or Dawn, rather.
Dawn is.
Dawn.
Yeah.
Every time I see her name, I want to say Dwayne, but I know it's
Yeah,
not.
exactly.
Hi, Dawn.
There she is.
Dawn, do you have any other comments?
No, just the only comment would be as the building official, due to the setbacks, I could not approve anything. If they wanted to do interior renovation of the existing unit as is, if they wanted to put in a wall, take out, that the building official could approve because it would not be increasing any nonconformity. But because they want to expand the half story, the third story, the third level setbacks, that was the issue and why we needed to come before you folks as the board.
Thanks, Dawn.
Dawn, some of the other variances that we've granted for units like these, are they to allow for roughly 420 square feet? Or just do those additional areas vary much in your recollection?
Basically, from what I can remember, it's all basically the same, roughly the same square footage. And they did not go above the existing roof height or the allowed NR district roof height of 35 feet from the center point of the road. It's all basically about the same.
Okay, great.
Okay, thanks, Dawn. Okay, well, if we don't have any other public comments, I'm going to close the public hearing. Good. So, Fred, do we need to vote on these separately since?
Yeah, oh,
they're-
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep.
I figured we did, even though they're close to the same thing. Okay, so discussion with the board. Anybody have anything they want to say?
I mean, I see the practical difficulty here with the side setbacks. It's virtually impossible.
Right.
And I
Right.
think it is conforming with the neighborhood. I don't think it's gonna harm anyone. So,
Okay.
I think it's,
So I guess we're already discussing, but with regard to unit 19, granting the variance to allow for the 8-foot setback, do I have a motion and reasons?
I would motion to grant, given the exceptional practical difficulty of the 8-foot side setbacks, virtually impossible to expand the upstairs, even though it's such a small space.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Same
And-
reasoning.
Same reasoning. Any further discussion necessary?
Just that I don't see that there's really any effect on the neighboring properties because it's already existing to some extent and it's not visible from the properties on the west of them.
And I would agree with that, and it's in characteristic with what's existing.
The factor two
It's not going to affect the neighbors.
and three, yeah.
Yeah, and then the practical difficulty, I agree with all those things. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Passed.
Okay, so, and
With regard.
all the votes were based on the comments that were made, right?
Correct, yes,
Yes.
correct. And with regard to unit 15, do we have any further discussion before someone wants to make a motion?
Motion to grant the
Grant the-
application?
grant the
Okay,
application.
reasons the same?
The reasons are that they're trying to make normal improvements and under the existing zoning, they're not able to do so. And it doesn't create any harm to any of the other neighbors or their property or the character of the immediate neighborhood.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passed unanimously. So, thank you all. And so, let's see, I guess, just any closing?
So there isn't anyone here with comments to be made. I mean, we have a public comment item on all our agendas, and everyone's been invited to speak on the merits of these applications. But is anyone here to speak on any other business related to the Board of Adjustment at this time? I'm assuming not. I'm just trying to, I'm just checking.
making sure. That's what I was
checking
just
the
gonna-
boxes.
Any final comments from any of the board members? No? Okay, well, then, on that note, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes. Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone, for being